The best and good example is Magufuli. 5 years. He had only 5 years being president. But look at what he did. That guy was not sleeping. The current president, she was saying that sometimes she will receive calls at 3 a.m. in the morning. And then the president will be like, are you still sleeping right now? This is the journey to one Africa. What Africa has is more than money. The gold, the diamond, the tanzanite, the oil, everything that we have is more than what we see, than this money. Why can't we, us as Africans, give our own money, donate, even if it's a $1 to African Union to work for us? So the question is, are they willing to withdraw? And the question is, are we willing to support our own organization to work for us? The answer is yes, we're willing, because of the research, of course, I've done. But also, I'll give you another living example from Ethiopia. Ethiopia, they built a dam called Gerd. That dam, they did not receive even a $1 from outside. No Chinese, no Americans, no European Union. That dam, it has been financed by Ethiopians themselves. People, they gave their own money to build the biggest dam in Africa. That you produce electricity, not only, you said energy security. This is one of the energy security. The dam in Ethiopia is not just going to support Ethiopia, but it's supporting the rest of other African countries. They'll be able to give electricity to Kenya, and any country that wants that electricity, they'll be able to get it from that dam of Ethiopia, because it's the biggest one in Africa. Right now, they're filling, that dam, and they will be producing a lot of high megawatts in the entire continent. And that's why there is a lot of friction between Ethiopia and Western countries. And that's why the friction also is happening between Egypt and Ethiopia, because of the dam. Like, they're having friction because of the natural resources that we have. And that is, again, is because of the influence of the West, so that they may not focus on the development of that dam and produce electricity for our countries. But you know what they said, Ethiopia? They say, you know what, we don't care. Whether you want or you don't want, we're going to build this. We build with our own money, and we're going to produce electricity. And that's what they're doing. This to tell us that Africans, when we come together, we work as one people. When we decide to do our own things, we can actually get these things done. Energy security, we can have it in Africa. We have that dam in Ethiopia. We have them here in Tanzania, Nyerere Dam. That dam is being built by Egyptians, not even Westerners, not Chinese. No, Magufuli, when he was building that, he wanted Africans to build it. So Egyptians, they're doing that. That also will be producing a lot of electricity here in Tanzania. In a couple years from now, we'll no more have an issue with electricity, and also be able to sell to other people. These are sources that are going to develop Africa. In a few years from now, we'll be free from this. And that's why they jeopardize. Okay, not only that, we have this crude oil pipeline from Uganda to Tanzania, that them European, they say that European Union, they say, you guys, you should stop doing that because of what? Because of what is this? You are
environmental issues.
Environmental, yeah. And I was asking myself, man, Africa is constitute only 3% of environmental, like air pollution in the world, 3%. But them, they constitute all kind of percentage. Like the rest of it is for them, for other words. But Africa only 3%. Today you say environmental, whatever. But this also pipeline, oil pipeline, is going to help and to give a lot of employment to our countries, to our people. Africa is awakening. Africa is always making moves. But if we're not going to step up like Ethiopia, the way they did, like Niger, they're doing right now, and be like, all right, you guys, you have to work for us, because we need African Union. We need them to work for us. And if we need to save them, they need to stop receiving money, and we need to give them, to show them that this is what we are working on. Okay, here is the money. Now stop receiving from here and there. And we shall see if Africa is not going to be united. And the unity is closer than we think. Because right now, my brother can agree with me that right now, Africa, like Africans, we are united. To be honest, we are united. We are united. We just need that button to be pressed. We just need that encouragement. Like, we are the one that encouraging leaders right now that, hey, we need this unity. We are. You see that everywhere. You see in here. Since we started here, we're talking about this unity, but look at people, they're not leaving. Why they're not leaving? Because they know that this is the time for unity. Like,
because we're root cause analysis, we're gonna keep getting deeper. So I think from what you're saying and from what I'm saying, and let me know if I'm the right path, then we can maybe go a little bit deeper, is that its problem that we are having in Africa right now is puppet leaders, one, and external money from foreign people, like foreign countries. So I think those two things, external money and puppet leaders, is what's stopping us from uniting. Do you think that's the we're getting closer to the root cause?
Yeah.
Puppet master, puppet leaders. Because if you don't have puppet leaders, so for example, you use Ethiopia, for example, they use their own money, economic security. They didn't take loans, they didn't get aid. They use their own money, and they're using their own people to build a dam. So that's energy security and economic security in one, right? So if African leaders can do the same all over Africa, then we will get to that. So if we can get away from foreign money to fund us, because we don't need it, like you've acknowledged it, God blessed us with all the resources. We should be the lenders and not the borrowers. So we already have everything we need. So if we can get away from foreign money, especially because, like what Maya was saying, and I agree with what Maya, that AU is not working for Africa. They're not working for Africa. I agree with him wholeheartedly. They're not working for Africa. They're serving the interest of foreign powers, not for Africa. So if we can get back and get AU, which was OAU in the past, if we can get them to do what they're supposed to do, then Africa would unite. But Africa can unite. And that's what I was trying to tell you before you made your speech. That why is something so easy as African free trade? Why hasn't it happened? Why is something so easy as African Union to function the way it's supposed to function? Why is it not happening? And like I said, our leaders are not stupid. They're not dumb. They wake up and they go to work, but they have people in the background working, and they have to listen to and do what they tell them to do. Why? Their money is in their pockets, so they can't really do what they're supposed to do. So that's where the problem is. Puppet leaders and taking money from outside power. So if we can address those two things, in my opinion, this is my opinion, if we can address those two things, then Africa can become the Africa we need, because that will be the stepping stone for Africa to do what Ethiopia did, right? In Nigeria, that will translate to Nigeria building its own refineries, right? Not a dam, its own refineries, right? In East Africa, that will translate to East Africans building their own factories to process their own coffee beans and all that. In South Africa, that will mean South Africans processing their own diamonds, right? And not just harvesting the diamond and the gold. So all over Africa, if we can get away from puppet masters and get away from taking money from external powers, then we can become powerful and unite. That's what I see.
Absolutely. I love this conversation, my brother, that we really went all the way to the cause and tried to figure out what to be done, and these things, to be honest, they're not new. Like these people who are watching here, you guys, what should be done. And for me, I'll really say that like everything we say here is very important. We're gonna try to cut this out and to share it as another video, maybe tomorrow. But we as an African, we have responsibility to empower African Union, to empower even our leaders. We have that responsibility. A lot of us, we look up to them, but in this generation, they must look up to us.
Do you know what I truly believe? Do you know what I truly believe? I believe that we, as a people, need to become leaders outside of the government and then do work. When I say do work, make things happen. Like Africa is more united amongst the people than it is among the government.
Yeah.
So if we are united, we have power to make changes in Africa as a people. So we need leaders. We need leaders to step up and do work and not rely on the government. Because from what I said, the government, some of the government or most of the government is being manipulated by foreign powers. So if we outside the government can work with the government, we don't have to work for the government, but work with the government, and they can see what we are doing, and then they can start doing things because of the energy that we bring to the table, because of the mindset, because they can start seeing. But we can wait, we can sit and wait for the government all we want. We've waited for how many decades now? I think it's time for the people to rise up and leaders to step up and all of us to do the work necessary. And we can do it with media, we can do it with entrepreneurship, we can do it with investments, we can do it with trade within Africa, we can do it with partnerships within Africa, we can do it with education, like online education within Africa. There's a lot of things that we can do as Africans. And then we can also do things like aid and all those things. But the ones that I want to focus on is empowerment, empowering our people through education, entrepreneurship, partnerships, trade, skill exchange. All those things I think we the people can do ourselves, and we don't have to rely on the government. If we, like, I was listening to you and Wademaya the other day when you were talking, and he said, man, I know there's somebody out there that has the idea to do X, Y, and Z. And you said, man, I have this idea. I've had this idea. My team and I have been working on this idea. And he said, man, I want to reach 1 million subscribers. That way I can start raising money to do things within Africa, right? So these are the type of leaders we need to step up in Africa to start doing things. And when we start doing things, we start getting recognition from our leaders, and things will start getting better, because you and Wademaya, you all are not corrupted, right? There's no corruption. There's no external money. You don't have any foreign powers controlling you. In your heart, you're passionate to help Africa, right? In his heart, he's passionate to help Africa, right? So we need to, as leaders, and there's going to be many more leaders all over Africa. We as leaders need to step up and start doing the work. And Obama, you said about Obama is our brother, right? Obama calls it grassroots. So we need to start working from the grassroots and work our way up, and not from the top down, right? That's what we need to do.
Lost. The prodigal son.
Yeah, from Ghana, from Kenya. So yeah. So we need to work from the grassroots and start doing things. And we don't have to keep talking and expecting. So we've identified that we need to unite. We've identified that we have puppet leaders. We've identified that foreign money is corrupting us. We've identified that there's a stronghold There's a stronghold manipulating us all the way from colonialism till today. So there's a complex issue going on, right? And then we are afraid to repeat the same mistake with China and Russia and BRICS. So that's kind of stopping us from doing business with them. So there's a lot of things going on. But what we can do on our own, from our own standpoint, ourselves, is one. These are now my solutions. We've talked about root cause analysis. Now let's talk about solutions. On our own, we can start doing things, building schools, teaching entrepreneurship, teaching partnership, creating jobs, all over Africa, and we can start building organizations. Maybe one in Tanzania, one in Nigeria, one in Ghana, one in South Africa, one in Mozambique, Burkina Faso. We can build a network where the unity you are talking about, we can have that unity among the people in Africa, outside of the government and outside of foreign influence. That way, when we become strong, they won't be able to dismantle us like they do to individual countries. Anybody that tries to become powerful and do things in Africa, they assassinate or they put a coup against the person, and the person's dream won't get far. Let me tell you something. Do you know that when IMF, World Bank, when they give us loans, they give us the loan to where they tell the president, don't worry about paying the debt. The debt repayment won't come in place till after your term is over. Do you know that?
Oh, that's new. Didn't know that.
So when they give you a loan to do things, do you know when you finish your term, the next president inherits the debt?
Yeah,
so it's like,
so
you know that. So, and then that next president has to pay the debt. Not the person that was in power that took the loan. So how So how are we gonna make progress if the next person is coming in with a deficit, in negative? How is that president gonna make progress? So, are you aware that most African countries' GDP goes towards debt repayment?
Of course.
So, how are our leaders gonna build infrastructures and do things that will benefit our people when all they're doing is paying debts? And because they're paying debts, they have to borrow money again to have extra money to do the things that they want to do, because they cannot use their own money because their money is paying bills. Isn't that crazy?
It is, my brother. It is. So, it's just like everything that is happening like that. It's just slowing down the progress in Africa. And the good thing is that we know all these things, and knowledge is power. That's why for me, I feel like what you're saying and what we're saying is the same, that, it's time to stand up, because we already know all this stuff. It's time to stand up, we as a people, as Africans, to do our parts, but most importantly, we are the one that can save organizations like African Union. We as Africans, we are the one, and these are solutions you're talking about. We are the one to do that. And I hope, the other thing is their willingness, if they'll be willing to really go through, that, to stop all this relationship that they have. But hopefully, the time is now, it's coming. I'll be glad if one day I see the leader of African Union is PLO Lumumba. I'll be glad. Or if I see somebody that, is talking about all this stuff that we talk about it and willing to do, and they're actually doing the job. Because one thing that a lot of people...
Why do you think they kicked out that lady? I forget where she's from.
Yeah,
why do you think they kicked her out?
It's because she was against She was against.
And who do you think suggested she gets kicked out?
Definitely Ida.
There's stronghold. There's stronghold.
That's why we need to take back our organizations. And how can we take back our organization? Is by us funding them. Us as Africans. Let me just say this, brother. This is very important for the case of Africa. Like, you might find a brother. We had a brother here back in the days. They have brilliant ideas. And also, I'm not disregard the scammers, because we have also a lot of scammers who they always, ask for money and they just want to run away with the money. So I'm not disregarding them, but I'm talking about genuine African brothers who really wants to make change. If there's anyone out there wants to make change and need a support them. That's where we begin. Let's support one another. It's this support. We should not just talk, but we should actually put our action. Let's support our brothers who are brothers and sisters who are actually doing something in the community, in the continent, in the countries, to bring about change. Let's do everything we can to support that.
I agree. I'm gonna end here because I don't want to bore your audience, but you are aware that in America, that the private sector helped build America, not just the public sector. So in Africa, the private sector needs to do the same. So we don't have to. If we keep relying on the government, the Bible didn't tell us to rely on the government. Give to Caesar what is to Caesar's, and then give the rest to God. So we need to draw strength from God, from the private sector, and do what we're supposed to do from the private sector. And when I say the private sector, just all this industry, industries you see in America, JP Morgan, that was somebody. Schwab's, that was somebody. Ford, that was somebody. All these companies that you see in America today, like Walmart, that's the Walton. Yeah. All these companies you see in America today were people that walk the earth like you and I, and they help build America. So if we keep relying on the government are being manipulated. So we have to, and that's why I said our generation or the next generation after us will be the one that will maybe say no to foreign powers to manipulate us. The ones that are in power right now came from the colonial era, except for the younger ones like Ruto and Kagame and the younger ones of now. But the older ones came from the colonial era, and they're still saying yes to the master. Yes, master. Yes, master. Yes, master. So we need to break away from that. But people like you need to take bold actions to create, like your farm, like your vanilla farm. You need to do more of that. You need to do more of that, like your non-profits. You need to put it into action and get it going. Things like that, like what Maya plans to do, raise money to do causes all over Africa. Things like that. We need people to step up and do it. But there's scammers. There's gonna be good and evil in everything. We know that, but we can't keep being afraid of taking bold moves. We have to make bold moves and not rely on the government. We have to stop relying on government. Government is not the solution. As much as we want to rely on them, we have to take that out of our head that government is not the solution.
Yeah.
We are supposed to be the people controlling our government as a people, not our government controlling us. Our government is supposed to be, what that job truly is to put laws in place. They're supposed to write policies that will help us live civilized. That's what the government is for. The government is not to control the people. The government is to keep the people civilized and make sure that the people are prosperous and they're living a good life. That's what the government is for, not to control the people. But we have it backwards in Africa. We think the government is there to control us, and we're dependent on them, thinking they're going to be a solution. So I'm going to ask you, Let's stop relying on the government 100%. And I'm going to challenge you, actually. I'm going to challenge you. You should start making bold moves. Bolder moves. Like you're already making bold moves, but you need to make bolder moves and start implementing your thoughts. Because you're going to fail, but you're going to fail into success. You're going to fail forward. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, but you're going to make mistakes forward. And then learn from your mistakes and then keep going. So I'm going to end here because I don't want to keep your audience bored. and I think
no, man. I think we give them
let me
enough.
see if that's still here.
Yeah, I think we give them enough. So yeah,
okay,
I appreciate that, Brother Niger, for your thoughts and for your contribution. Always a blessing, man, to have you here and to just navigate this journey together. So I really appreciate you. I can't wait to see you face to face and to connect.
Yes, bro. Absolutely. All right, my man. Remain blessed.
Amen. Amen.
All right, bye.
What is happening in Niger is happening to Africa. And it is a time for people, Africans, me and you, to stand up and to act. It is very important. Don't be scared. I said this before, that what is stopping people from making change is the fear of the unknown and known. That if I'm going to do this, I will be killed. I'm going to die. This and this is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen to you. And even if it happens, it would rather happen while you have already achieved the purpose that you're called to do. So the fear is what is stopping us from achieving, bringing about change to the continent. If you take the fear out of the equation, what is left is change. Do not be afraid. All of us will die at some point. But what is very important, I want to tell you, is that don't die for Africa. I'm going to lose some followers because of this statement. Don't die for Africa. You might think that is patriotism, but don't. Don't leave this continent. Live for Africa. Live for Africa. We must live for this continent. Don't die for your country. Don't die for Africa. Live for Africa. We must live. And as long as we have this time, as long as God has blessed us with this breath, the best and good example is Magufuli. 5 years. He had only 5 years being president. But look at what he did. That guy was not sleeping. The current president, she was saying that sometimes she will receive calls at 3 a.m. in the morning. And then the president will be like, are you still sleeping right now? 3 a.m. This guy was not sleeping. Barely sleeping. In his home, he had a little table and laptop was there. He was working from his home. Leaving, when he go to his room, he's still working. This guy was not sleeping most of the time. Most of the time. Because he had no luxury of sleeping. He had no luxury of sleeping. So, live. You don't know when you're going to go. You don't know until when God has given you the chance, this honor to be here alive on this earth. As long as we don't know, let's do everything we can. Let's give our whole, man. Because when you work for Africa, you actually work for God. You're working for the people of God. And believe is the beautiful thing. So let's spend the time we have left to do what is right for our next generation. To do what is right for the next generation. Let's plant a seed of unity, love, and peace in Africa for the sake of our next generation. Let's plant a seed of redemption for this country. Let's plant a seed of revolution for our continent. Let's plant that seed of unity for our lovely continent, for the sake of the next generation. You don't know how long you have left. I have no idea. But what I know is this: I've been given right now, and I'm here right now. What am I doing right now? You have a role to play. I have a role to play. And when we come together, 55 African countries, 54 in the continent, and 1 diaspora all across the world, when we come together, fear not, for I am with you. That's what God says. The word "do not be afraid" has been mentioned more than 365 in the scriptures, in the Bible. That is to tell you that every single day when you wake up, He's telling you, do not be afraid, do not be afraid, do not be afraid. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of man leads to destruction. Fear not. And let's bring change into this continent. We want people who love Africa, people who wants to do anything for, people who love Africa, who loves Africa to the point they want to live. Not to die, to live for Africa. That's what we need in Africa. And I'm telling you, the time is now, and you and me, we are those people. So cheer up, stand up, pick up yourself. Don't be afraid. Don't be weak. You're not weak. You have strength. You have everything it takes. Love yourself. Love your neighbors. The rest is history.